How on earth could something like your hormones and how often you get bitten by mosquitoes possibly be linked? Stay tuned to this video to find out. Welcome back, my friends. My name is Sarah. I am known as Carnivore Yogi. Thank you so much for being here and clicking on today's video. Today, I have an interview with my friend, Carrie Bennett, also known as Carrie B Wellness. And yes, we talk about how mosquito bites could be linked to fertility in the very beginning, but the rest of the conversation goes into fertility after 40, hormone balance, even post-menopausal. We talk about everything having to do with hormone and proper hormone balance. And there's so much in this chat that I know you're going to enjoy. Now, everything we talk about is going to be linked down in the show notes for you, including if you want to find out more about the course Carrie and I are doing that starts on August the 15th. Now, if you know somebody who might need this course, if it's not you, please do share this video with them so that this information gets to them. There are so much misinformation about hormone balance. So many people, men and women, we talk about male fertility as well in this video. Men struggling, women struggling, and so we really do want to help those audiences that are struggling with hormone balance. And you don't even have to be wanting to conceive. This could just be hormone balance in general. And I want to thank quickly the sponsor of today's episode is going to be Ombre Labs. Now, this is a product I have used over the last 3 years to test my gut microbiome, because one of the things that you want to have when you have good hormone balance is also a healthy gut, which we'll talk about in this video of how to really achieve that. But Ombre has an amazing gut health test that's going to actually tell you the levels of gut bacteria, your gut microbiome diversity, and a lot of really interesting things about your gut health with this test. And if you want to get a custom probiotic that is actually formulated specifically on your gut health sample, because a lot of probiotics just are not going to be helpful because it's not actually what you need. This is a really great targeted way to get that. So the link for Ombre will be linked down in the description, and thank you to Ombre Labs for sponsoring this video. All right, guys, enjoy the interview. Again, check out that information section for all the links that we talk about here, and I'll talk with you again soon.
Hey, Sarah, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Did you just say redox?
I just saw your post, and I was posting in my stories about redox because
funny.
This doctor had put up this post, and he's like, you know, is it just me, or are the mosquitoes getting bigger and worse this year? Are people's welts getting worse and worse this year? And I posted, well, is it people's redox function that's getting worse and worse, or are the mosquitoes getting worse? Because I haven't even gotten bitten once this year. So,
no, I was just having this conversation with my neighbor, and we were saying the same thing. We were like, wow, we really haven't gotten bit up by mosquitoes at all. You know, and typically we're out first thing in the morning. They can be brutal. They can be brutal. So no, and you want to know what? Like that, insects can see when people are leaking light.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, I was at the beach with my sister last week, and we were in Amelia Island, Florida. Lots of bugs down there. Lots of bugs in Georgia where I live. I mean, forget it. It's like a swamp here right now. But her and I went walking on the beach. We came back. Her legs were covered in welts. And I was like, what, you know? And so, yeah, it comes down to redox function, right? Which is, again, well, people are going to be like, what does it mean when you're leaking light? Like, what does that mean?
We can start there. I mean, we can start there, right? So like, and this goes into the whole class that you and I are going to be teaching with people. Really what it comes down to is, do you have the redox status in your body to have balanced hormones and support a pregnancy? And that just basically means our body is electron rich. I say it all the time, right? If you see me in my stories every morning, gather electrons, right? Gather electrons. Because and this isn't woo, this isn't controversial, right? We need electrons in our bodies. The interior of every cell needs to have a negative charge. That's more electrons, right? The exterior, the extracellular matrix, needs a set amount of electrons in it. We need a certain amount of even more electrons in our mitochondria in order to be able to like maintain that function there. So we're just electron-rich beings, and everything we do these days is disconnecting us from those electrons. And because of that, when we're not in flow and use electrons, then we actually lose them. We lose electrons to our environment. And when that's partly mitochondrial function too. If we have poor mitochondrial health, we are leaking electrons. Lost electrons are basically lost light, and things can sense that. And there's a ton of research showing that if you have a stressed out cell, it's going to leak way more biophotons than a healthy cell. There's even studies that are showing that the color is giving information, right? It's not always extreme low frequency ultraviolet. Sometimes it's red. Sometimes it's more in the infrared spectrum. But basically, you want to gather electrons, you want to hold them, you want to flow them. Happy mitochondria, you're not going to get bit by bugs.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one of the questions, because I printed out the questions and I'm sure you got the copy too, but Carrie put up something in her stories over the weekend because we're teaching a 6-week course on fertility. So we're going to go over those questions in this live stream. We're going to talk about men, infertility, hormone balance, redox function, autoimmune issues, all that stuff. But redox function is basic, right? It's like if you have poor redox function, you're not going to be able to have optimal hormone balance. You're not going to be able to have optimal fertility. And I learned that the hard way. I mean, that's how I came into contact with you and Corey and Dr. Cruz and everybody I've been so blessed to get to learn from. And, you know, just my mind has been blown over and over again the last couple of years. Just learning.
Mine too. It continues to get blown when I learn this stuff. It's like, this is so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so, yeah, someone, I guess, wanted to know about, you know, how their mitochondrial function related to their fertility. They had an autoimmune issue, and that again comes back to redox function, correct?
Correct, right? So the mitochondria are the ultimate signalers inside of the cell. And they signal by releasing just the right amount of what are called reactive oxygen species or electrons or reactive nitrogen species. And so then the immune system responds, right? The immune system says, oh, there's something going on. We need to dump this type of cell to clear it out and bring in this type of cell. And, you know, it goes through a basic, what we would call repair mechanism. But autoimmunity is basically always attracting the attention of the immune system. The body thinking there's something wrong, and the immune system then goes to attack normal tissue. And it doesn't matter, like this is where quantum differs from kind of traditional Western medicine. It doesn't matter where it's happening. It could be your thyroid, but that could be called Hashimoto's. It could be your joints, you know, that they call that rheumatoid arthritis. It's the same mechanism. It's mitochondrial dysfunction sending the wrong signals to the immune system. So again, the cool part about dealing with this quantum health stuff is that we're doing stuff that's not just thyroid specific or reproductive specific, or this is like beneficial to everything, right? We're affecting the mitochondria everywhere to optimize their health. We're just especially putting it in light of fertility because of how many people have contacted you saying, Sarah, this is me. I've had a crazy journey to try to get pregnant, and I want your help. I want your support. And so that's what we try to do, is load this course with all that support. But this is stuff that goes across the board in terms of being beneficial to health.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's for men too, because that was the first question. And I've gotten that question probably 3 or 4 times over the weekend about our course. And they're like, can men benefit from this information as well?
Yeah, because absolutely, because, you know, I mean, a hormone imbalance is by definition a circadian issue. There's issues with the light that you're allowing into your eyes and onto your skin, or not allowing into your eyes or onto your skin, right? And so our goal is to say, okay, where are you at? with that. What do you think your issue is? And some people are going to be like, well, I'm not releasing enough testosterone, or my luteinizing hormone is off, or, and all of those are kind of signals, but the process to support it is the same. It's like, you need sunlight here and here and here, and how, right? Like you need it in your eyes this way. You need artificial light out of your eyes at this time. This is how you do it, and we give all of our tips and tricks and tweaks. Listen, we're busy women.
Yeah.
We do not have all day to meditate outside for 3 hours at a time, right? We will teach you how to fit this into your lifestyle the best as you can. But when in doubt, for those of you who are just here looking for a little hint of information to help me out, go outside in the morning with naked eyes. Yeah. If you have contacts, try not to have them in, right? Yeah. Try to sit somewhere where you're not going to fall, or wear your prescriptive glasses outside. Sit somewhere where you're not going to fall, trip, right. Put them on top of your head, face east, and capture some natural light into your eyes anytime you possibly can.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, everything that we're going to talk about to do as a woman, most of it, your husband or your partner should also be doing it. Like when I started doing red light therapy, my husband started doing red light therapy. He didn't do cold therapy. He didn't do that. And that's not even something that we're going to necessarily require in the course. We'll probably talk about it, but it's not required.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it, because if you're ready to take the plunge, I mean, it can be fast effects if you combine light and cold and red.
I started the cold therapy in October and was pregnant in January. I mean, it was like that kind of an effect for me as far as getting pregnant. And there is nuance when we talk about, and that's not even one of the questions, but there's nuance when we talk about cold therapy and the female body. And so that is something that we'll address as well, because it's not something you do every single day, all the time, there's nuance around the cold therapy for supporting your hormone balance. Cause just like fasting, just like, these things that are a hormetic stress on the body, you can overdo them and then they get a bad name, and then they're not going to be helpful for you. So yeah, there's a lot of nuance. Like I talk about red light therapy and everyone's like, well, how long should I do it? Where do I put it? This and that. I'm like, I can't necessarily give you that over the internet. I need to talk with you. I need to be able to monitor you. I need to be able to watch you go through the process. I can't just give you a prescription, because that would be irresponsible of me. Same thing with cold therapy, right?
All of that, right? We can give some general guidelines on stuff like this, which I love to do, because I think it gets people interested. They can kind of then dive in for themselves. Like you're your own, what we call N=1. It's just, you're your own unique experiment, because that's what we're kind of just navigating through this, figuring out what's working. And now we're recognizing quantum health is huge, but I can't tell you, this is how everyone needs to do red light therapy. Right. Because it is very contextual, but that's the beauty of a course, because you can get to know people. I want to know your journey, your situation, your challenges, where we think your mitochondria or your inflammation is. And then we can give you what make of red light therapy device do you have? Then we can say, this many inches in this location at this time of day for this long, you can get really specific because the information is there. It's in the research. I've got databases full of it where I can pull for people, but I just can't give you a general recommendation. That's just, you're right. It's not responsible.
Exactly. And, someone wanted to know if the information in the course can be applied just for general hormonal health, because I know there's a lot of women that maybe have PCOS or endometriosis, or they have other hormone, and even men too, low testosterone. Like some of these issues are just absolutely rampant in our society. And, a lot of people are struggling. They don't even know that they're infertile because they haven't necessarily tested that out. But if you have a hormone issue, then that is definitely something that I think this course can address, right?
Oh, absolutely. Across the board. And it doesn't matter where you're at. It could be even postmenopausal. I've had a couple women reach out and say, well, I need some help with this. It's like this, if you're balancing your hormones for fertility, you're going to optimize them at all other times, wherever you are in your life cycle with hormones. Absolutely. These are just general things that we need for hormone balance, no matter where we are with that.
Yeah, and the thing for me that I always like to tell people, because everyone, even my mom was like, gosh, well, I'm pregnant now, so I'm not skinny anymore. got a human on my belly right now. I'm 30 weeks pregnant, starting to waddle a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
Getting humorous. But I ended up losing 30 pounds before I got pregnant, and I wasn't trying to lose weight. Like, you don't ever want to say, I want to get pregnant, I'm going to try to starve myself and lose 30 pounds. No, that is the wrong way to go about it. But because I improved my mitochondrial function so much, because I got my redox function in such an amazing place and balanced my hormones so well, I effortlessly lost 30 pounds. And everyone was like, are you all right? Like, I'm like, yeah, I was tan and lost the weight, and then boom, pregnant. And I had struggled with my weight and with hormonal balance for years, trying diet and supplement, and those things are very supportive and helpful. But, I was missing the quantum piece. I was missing understanding mitochondrial health and how to actually implement these things into my life on a daily basis. To, like you said, you and I are both busy women. Like, I have a lot going on. You have 3 kids, we don't have time to sit in the yard naked. We don't do that anyway, because we live in neighborhoods. But right,
I'm weird enough as it is, Sarah. I don't need that reputation in my neighborhood.
right. Yeah.
No, exactly. These are things that we've put in the work to understand and implement, not only with ourselves, but with countless clients, in a way that we can say, okay, yes, for your situation, 5 minutes is all you need, right? Whereas for your situation, you might need to do it a couple more times, or 20 minutes, or prioritize a walk or something, right? It is, but it's cool because we can help you tweak these specific strategies. And going back to your concept of like the weight, it really is, it should be effortless. Weight should maybe we'll call it normalize. I don't know what do people want to call it, but your weight should end up at what your body considers is healthiest, least inflammatory, the perfect amount to support movement, to support your frame, to support your activity level. Yeah. It should end up at that if you have these things in place. Right. You need the circadian rhythm. You need to be leptin sensitive. And leptin sensitive, skinny doesn't mean you're leptin sensitive, right? So leptins, that's another question. The question
that was a question. Yep.
A question that I got was, will this course be relevant to people who don't want to be carnivore or don't want to be low carb? And I mean, my answer to that is, it depends on one's leptin and insulin levels, right? And your inflammatory status, because that there's really, really great ways to modify and support your leptin levels, support your insulin levels, optimize those pathways and those connections, lower your inflammation using keto, using carnivore. But that being said, like, I don't force my clients to do anything. I can let them know that I think it would be a lot easier if they go certain routes. But no, I will work with whatever you have. I've seen people who are breatharians thrive, right? So like, I don't judge that anymore. It's like, I will work with your context.
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing about leptin that I think is so frustrating to me, and a lot of people, I've shared my story a lot on social media, and not like in a written post, but video wise, if you go on my YouTube channel, I've kind of at length talked about some of the difficult things I went through in my fertility journey. And one of those things, after having recurrent loss, was that we decided, let's do IVF. And before going into the IVF process, they wanted to run a ton of blood work. And I was kind of already doing my own research. I was kind of already like, okay, I should probably figure out some of this stuff on my own. And I asked them, before we do this, can you check my insulin levels? Can you check my leptin levels? And the endocrinologist said no. She said that's not relevant to IVF. She said, we don't need to know your leptin or your insulin levels. And I was like, really? I'm going to pay you $45,000 for this procedure, and you're not even going to run my leptin and insulin levels. You're just going to run my hormone levels.
They're like, yeah, so I paid out of my own pocket to get my leptin levels and my insulin levels checked. You can do this at a LabCorp if anyone's like curious. You can go to LabCorp online and get your insulin run, and you can get your leptin run. You can get all kinds of stuff and pay for it yourself. And that's what I did. My leptin, even though I was 30 pounds overweight, was low. And I was like, okay, that's probably not good. But when I showed it to my endocrinologist, she's like, oh, that doesn't matter. That's not going to affect what we do. And lo and behold, the $45,000 might as well have just been flushed down the toilet, because that whole thing didn't even work, you know?
No.
And so a lot of people are turning to these types of things, and they're not doing the things like checking leptin, insulin. Their circadian rhythms are a mess. They don't understand mitochondrial function. They don't understand redox. And that's what I want to do. And I'm so glad you and I have partnered together to do this course, because if I could save you know, a couple who really wants to conceive, the pain that I went through last year and the money that we spent, and help them, you know, prepare for conception in a healthy way, even if you're in your 40s. I mean, I'm 43 right now at 30 weeks pregnant, was able to not use IVF, got pregnant in January after implementing this stuff. I mean, that's what I really want for people, you know, and understanding leptin and how your body is leptin sensitive or not leptin sensitive, low leptin, high leptin. That's something that we'll address in a group format, because you know, you're going to approach low leptin a little differently than high leptin, not dramatically different, but you are going to approach it differently, right? And you can be overweight and have low leptin, which is something I was shocked. I was like, oh, I'm overweight, so, you know, I probably have no, it was low.
Yeah.
Because I had been chronically fasting, you know, and chronically yo-yo dieting. And so there's just a lot of nuance to it.
There's a lot of nuance to it. And it's fascinating because, I mean, leptin, it's a newer hormone, right? So that's why I don't think it's being applied. It's not a new one, right? It's been around for forever in our bodies, but like it's a newer discovery. And now we recognize that leptin is like the one that basically controls insulin. I mean, there's a massive relationship. Leptin is like the main one, you know, and so we have to then say, okay, well, now we're starting to understand that insulin resistance can lead to anovulation, PCOS, you know, like we can see all of these things at play. So if insulin is responsible in that circumstance, we have to see that leptin is a really key player when it comes to this. Leptin basically takes a snapshot, right? Leptin is the hormone released from body fat that gets to communicate to the brain. Carrie has this much body fat stored, this much, you know, sugar stored. Like it basically just takes a download of all of my energy stores and communicates that to my brain. And then my brain then sends that message to, oh, Carrie is starving. Let's tell her that she's hungry and she needs to go find food really quickly. Carb cravings, anyone, right? Yeah. Or that Carrie is great. She's got enough body fat to support a pregnancy. You know, she's good. She's in an energy, nutrient-rich status, low inflammation. So then go ahead. Yeah, let's support fertility this month. Let's ovulate. You know, I mean, leptin is responsible. Yeah. So like the fact that it's not talked about it blows my mind. It has to get mainstream soon, just based on all this information.
Yeah, and that's what, again, I think helped me lose that 30 pounds that I literally was not trying to lose 30 pounds, but I did, because I approached things from the lens of how can I become leptin sensitive? You know, how do I fix this? And not like, all right, let me just starve myself and exercise more and fast more and restrict more. Like, because I knew intuitively those things were not going to let me get pregnant because it would put my body more into fight flight. So there's definitely, like, we have to look at the nuance of these things for sure. Yeah, absolutely. You know, the other one that seems daunting for people or it seems irrelevant is non-native EMFs. Yeah.
You know,
for me, I was like, I don't.
I mean, frankly, right? Like we use technology. Sarah, I wouldn't know you, right? If it wasn't for technology. Exactly. So, I mean, like we recognize that there is a fine line between telling people they've got to live in a cave and giving them some really key strategies also based on context. Are you in an office environment where the Wi-Fi router is right next to you all the time,
Right.
and you have wireless keyboard and mouse and monitor? Or do you live on a homestead, right? Do you live on a homestead potentially further away from wireless stuff? And like, what does that mean? How does that contribute to all of this? Well, non-native EMFs are one of the biggest drivers of what we call quantum incoherence or chaos, right? Cellular chaos.
Yeah.
My body's not going to say, yeah, Carrie, have a baby if it's in cellular chaos, or yeah, Carrie, let's optimize your hormone production if it's in cellular chaos all the time.
Right.
That's a big thing. Depleting redox status. My electron status will tank if I'm just surrounded by non-native EMFs. So again, silly things that you don't think are important that we just want to connect the dots and help you implement.
Yeah, and help you, talk to you individually and just be like, all right, this is what your lifestyle looks like, or, you know, in the course, and be able to help walk you through that so it doesn't seem so intimidating. Because I was super intimidated by it. I mean, I think the first time I ever talked to Corey on the phone, I was wearing my earpods. We weren't doing FaceTime, thank God, because he probably would have lost his mind.
Yeah.
But I remember being on a walk and talking with Corey with my earpods in, or my AirPods in, and he was like telling me about EMF, and I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't be wearing these.
We're talking about these things that I'm shoving into my brain, right?
Right, on both sides, like, and thinking I'm doing something healthy going out and taking a walk right now, like, oh. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. And I live in a city. You live in a city. I live in Atlanta. You know, it's a pretty densely populated area. Eventually, we definitely want to move out of the city, but for getting pregnant and for this stage of life, it's just not going to happen. So we have figured out how to work around that so that my body can still heal, my body can still repair, and so that I was able to get pregnant without using IVF. You know, I was able to mitigate that enough. But until I started doing those mitigation things, that was another part of the weight loss. That was another part of my hormones balancing. And I was kind of being told, you know, if you tell your standard endocrinologist, of course, they're going to look at you like you have 6 heads.
Yeah. Please,
but even like the alternative doctors that I was seeing, they were kind of saying, no, that's not even important. Just take these supplements instead. These supplements are going to help optimize your fertility. And at the end of the day, when I started understanding more about deuterium, which is something we'll probably talk about also, I'm like, holy crap, I'm taking a handful of like pills, pot full of deuterium. You know, I want my body to deplete deuterium in order to optimize my fertility. Yet I'm shoving this stuff down my throat. Like, this doesn't make any damn sense, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. What I love about actually working with clients is the number of medications and supplements that they can get off of by implementing this stuff. It's crazy. It's like, oh gosh, you look back in that cabinet and you're like, $500, like, can I donate this to someone? But then you don't want to do that. You're like, I don't want to give this to anyone because I don't think it's necessary, right?
No.
It is crazy how much money you can save if you start to implement quantum health strategies.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably spending $600 a month on fertility supplements because I was like told this one's going to do good, this one's going to improve your mitochondrial health, and this one and this one. And there are a couple that I think, you know, you might maybe throw in there, but at the end of the day, you don't need $600 worth, and it is probably putting your deuterium levels in your body way, way, way up, which is, again, we going back to slowing down your mitochondrial function. You know, anytime there's a hormone issue, anytime there's a fertility issue, anytime there's a weight issue, inflammation, autoimmune, forget it. Mitochondria is at the root of that, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, mitochondria, because they're just this main signaler in the body. They're an antenna for electromagnetic fields. So then your light environment, you know, I'm going to close my door because I think 2 of my children are wrestling. Hang on a second. Speaking of chaos, right? One kid is playing a recorder, the other two are wrestling. So if you hear weird stuff in the background, don't judge me. That's exactly it, right? I personally think that if your mitochondria are healthy, the only thing that I regularly take to support my body, either transdermally or internally, minerals, right? I think minerals are extremely key. But other than that, I really think you can get away with not. I mean, even those supplements that are mitochondrial supportive will work better in an appropriate circadian and quantum lifestyle.
Exactly. So if your circadian rhythms are not optimized, if your light environment's not optimized, you're just going to be, again, throwing money in the toilet, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Another question is, will there be information for women in their 40s? It's like, hell yeah, I'm in my 40s. Absolutely.
30 and 30 weeks
right?
pregnant, so
41, and I'm not pregnant, but you know, I mean, I know what it's like.
Course. Just kidding.
I know what it's like to be in my 40s, to also work with women in their 40s and 50s, and going through that potential weird hormone stuff, right? Like it's like sometimes my period's every 20 days, sometimes it's every 35. Oh, I haven't had it for 60 days. Oh, look, now it's 10 days long, right? It's like, so this stuff will support, you know, your cycle. I'm not going to say that you'll never experience any wonky cycles or approaching menopause or things like that. But if you do want to start to optimize your cycles, I'm 28 days clockwork. It's pretty amazing.
How I was. Like, I knew, like, towards like those last 3 months before I got pregnant, it was like every 28 days. And after I had turned 35, things had just started to get really wonky and weird. Like you said, I mean, it's a natural part of aging. However, if you optimize your mitochondrial function and your redox, you can delay that for a while. You don't have to start that up so early like a lot of women are these days.
Well, and even studying, cultures and populations that live in commune with nature, some of them don't even have a word for menopause or hot flashes, or because it's not a thing. It's our modern lifestyle and our disconnect from nature that really creates mitochondrial dysfunction, hormone imbalance that drives that. So you don't have to. I mean, you absolutely do not have to go through this crazy period either if you're looking to support your body through menopause. It doesn't have to be this agonizing time. You can support your body and your mitochondrial health and your hormone balance and move through very gracefully.
Yeah. And someone asked in the chat, I saw, there's a lot of things coming through, so I'm probably missing stuff, but someone wanted to know if deuterium depleted water could improve their mitochondrial function. And I sent you that interview. I had an almost 2-hour long conversation with Laszlo Boros, which I still haven't. I'm going to put it out next week because I'm trying to do the timestamps for it. And there's
so much.
It's taking me forever to timestamp that one because I love to separate it out by topic. But what Laszlo told me, Dr. Boros, who's the world's leading expert on deuterium depletion, is that the water should be like a last resort. Like if you have cancer, it should be last resort. Our lifestyle is deuterium depleting, red light therapy, having circadian rhythms optimized, your diet, like all of these things. Again, we're going to go over all of that and help you implement that in the course. But your lifestyle can help you deplete deuterium. You don't necessarily have to make the jump and do the water. The water is ridiculously expensive. And if you have cancer or something like that, then it could really save your life and be immensely helpful. But what we have to get to is not necessarily jumping to that water. If your lifestyle sucks, if your circadian rhythms are not optimized, if you don't have these things in place, you're just going to be spent money on a bunch of water. And is it going to work? It may not work as well if you're blasting yourself with your AirPods and you don't have those things optimized, right?
Well, right. If you don't have those other things optimized, if you're not sequestering deuterium in your exclusion zone, if you're not, drinking water naturally, like you can go cheaper than deuterium depleted water and ask yourself, am I in an area with high deuterium tap water? People who hear, oh, I'm looking to get healthy. I need to drink 100 ounces of water a day. And then all of a sudden I see them open their tap. I'm like,
Don't. Don't.
There's better ways, easier, not crazy strategies, I promise you. So like, yeah, things like that as well. Deuterium is just a version, for those who want to know, deuterium is just a version of hydrogen, and we need hydrogen in key areas, and it has to fit. It's like a puzzle piece, right? It has to be the right shape. Deuterium is the wrong shape. It'll try to fit through, but it'll jam it up. So it jams up the mitochondria, so the mitochondria don't function as well. It jams up the lysosomes, so we can't clear broken parts through autophagy as well. So we really want to make sure that we have deuterium where it can be in our bodies without causing problems. And these days, you named it, deuterium loaded, processed foods loaded with deuterium, supplements can be loaded with deuterium, tap water loaded with deuterium, doing things that create cellular chaos and don't allow us to sequester deuterium where we need it. I mean, it's a pretty easy thing to see how deuterium can play a role in driving, even driving cancer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that I'm going to get that interview out, not this week, but the week after. But anybody who wants to know more on that topic, you can go search for Dr. Boros. I mean, he's the world's leading expert, has authored over 700 studies. I think I sent you one. He emailed me another study. I was like, whoa, this is a new one that's coming out. So there's a lot of cool information about that. But again, my takeaway from a 2-hour conversation with Dr. Laszlo Boros was like, you know, if you're trying to optimize your fertility, if you're trying to optimize your health, you don't necessarily need to jump right to the water. You need to look at your lifestyle and do all of the things that we have laid out in this course, because that is going to help your body naturally deplete deuterium. And we'll give you a good understanding of what it is and again how it relates to your hormone balance in the course, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We will. I mean, I want you to know all this stuff, because like then once you do get pregnant, this will help you have a healthy baby, healthy pregnancy, healthy baby, set you up for a healthy lifestyle from then on out. I mean, having a newborn isn't necessarily easy. So we want you to have as much energy and feel as good as you possibly can, get that good quality of sleep when you can. So I mean, all of this sets the stage for just a lifestyle. And I think that's the problem. We are in this mindset of, give me a pill, give me a supplement, give me some water to drink without having to change anything else. And that's just not cutting. It's not going to cut it.
No, it's not. It's not, because I tried it. Trust me. And it's a long, painful journey, and it would just be a lot easier if you get these foundational things down instead of cashing out, all your money to sink into fertility treatments and supplements and doctors and all of these things. This is a lot better and a more effective way to go about this.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, and I've said this many times, and this is hands down true. Once you feel the difference with having this kind of quantum lifestyle, you're not going to want to go back. It's not going to feel like an effort for you to be able to.
No.
Hi, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I just went to the beach with my sister. I mentioned that earlier in the conversation, the sister that's getting bitten by bugs, and I'm over here like, okay. And every morning it's like my body was wide awake right at sunrise. Like that's my body, my circadian rhythms are so ridiculously strong now. I could be away from home on vacation, and it's like 10 minutes before sunrise, I'm like, oh, okay, go walk down on the beach, watch the sun come up. And I don't want to not do that. Like, I'm going to have to, when the baby gets here, I'm going to be taking him out there and exposing him to morning light, because.
Close the doors for the jacket. Thank you. We're having massive challenges in the background. No, you're exactly right, because that's only going to make the baby sleep that much better. Right. You'll sync that circadian rhythm there. No, it's all good stuff. Sorry, Sarah.
Okay.
Where's grandma?
Yeah, it's life, right? Like, this is what we want to help the people who want to have kids to have to deal with these types of situations.
We want you to have to, yeah. I would be thrilled if all of you sent me messages about kids coming in on your Instagram live. I think there was just a couple more questions, or maybe one more that I had here, and that was. There's two. Will this help with those with a history of miscarriage, but not infertility. And yes, right, the ability to conceive and the ability to maintain a pregnancy, those are hormone related, those are mitochondrial related. So absolutely that will help.
Yeah, and that was my issue. I mean, that I had 2 losses before we tried IVF, and I was like, and we even tested the last one that we lost, and it was quote unquote normal. And so obviously there was some sort of mitochondrial dysfunction. There was something going on, and that is, I think I had mentioned it in our last live video, that's one of the hardest things that you can go through, I feel like, is to have a miscarriage, to have a loss. It's heartbreaking, it's devastating, and you feel alone because women don't ever talk about it. But when you look at the statistics, like I said this in our last live stream, 1 in every 4 pregnancies ends in a miscarriage, you know? And so it is so common, and it is a huge part of infertility, right? So I had a doctor tell me that. They're like, miscarriage and the inability to get pregnant are very much similar, right? Like they stem from the same kind of issues. And so, yeah, that's definitely going to be addressed in the course as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then lastly, are there medications that impair mitochondria or fertility? I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of them actually, like, you know, we know statins can destroy mitochondrial health. Fluoroquinolone, so antibiotics, can destroy mitochondrial health. Birth control can destroy nutrients needed for mitochondrial health. There are, right? And so I can't necessarily get into every single medication, but again, if you think that that's an issue, or someone told you that was an issue and you do sign up for the class, I'll break it down, no problem.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And the cool thing about all of this is I have not taken one Tylenol in, I don't know how long, preconception and conception. I've been able to manage without taking Tylenol, without taking any kind of drugs, just from doing all the things that we've been doing, optimizing my minerals, my hydration status, which I know we're going to get into. You're the easy water queen, the hydration queen. And hydration is a huge part of, I think your daughter's doing handstands or something.
Well, she's practicing with some gymnastics.
That's why I'm over here cracking up. But yeah, hydration is a huge part of hormonal balance and our overall health. That I think and most people are walking around dehydrated as well.
And it's not because they're not drinking enough water. That's not necessarily. They're not retaining minerals because they're not building exclusion zone water is really what it comes down to. So
yeah, again, you can buy the expensive water, buy the expensive minerals, might help a little bit. But if your body can't hang on to it, if you have poor redox function, if you're not building exclusion zone water, money down the drain, right?
Money down the drain. Yeah, money down the drain, frankly. And there are, I mean, simple things right now. As a bare minimum, I want people to filter their water to whatever capacity they can, right? Yeah. Bare minimum. And then there's other things you can do. Sometimes it's overly filtered. I talk with a lot of clients who are like, well, I've been drinking reverse osmosis water my whole life. And it's like, well, that's good because there's no toxins, but there's no minerals either, right? So, right. So again, and that's again, a nuanced conversation that we can have. So
definitely. Cool. Yeah, I think we got through everything. Yay. But if you guys watching, if you have a question, there's a link in my bio, there's a link in Carrie's bio that kind of will take you to a free course that you can take that kind of goes through some videos that talks more about the course. You can email us, you can message us if you've got questions. But yeah, our course is going to start on August the 15th.
August 15th. Yep. And I think we're kicking it off with quantum mindset and circadian rhythm. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's another one we didn't even talk about is the mindset piece. But that was huge. That was absolutely huge for me. So yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that as well.
Yay.
Yay. Awesome. All right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, I mean, please reach out. We just want this to change other people's lives the way it's changed ours. So
yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to download this. I'll put it up on YouTube and podcasts so people can listen to it easily. They don't have to do it on Instagram, but it'll stay on my profile and yours too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Awesome.
I think Piper wants me to wave bye.
Bye, Piper.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. I love chatting with you. I'm just so excited.
Me too. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for watching.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.